Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV and to the Area 51 Superspeedway series here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. Say it's about a 3-mile paperclip oval here where speeds are going to be getting up to about 240 or more. I'll say it's going to get very, very crazy very quickly at this track. I'll say we're going to have 75 laps will be the race distance, and the fuel window going to be very interesting tonight. We might be looking at a 4-stopper tonight because I was getting some numbers from the drivers, and they were telling me they were in this maybe about 16 or so laps on fuel. They're going to need to try to get 19 laps if they want to try to make it on a 3-stopper, so we may be seeing a potential of a 4-stop race here. Of course, that's all pending it going green. I'm saying we have a lot of new additions to the league tonight, so we're going to see a lot of new names, a lot of new faces, a lot of new paint schemes as well. It's always exciting to see what drivers kind of come up with to run for these cars, so it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of exciting things to kind of check out tonight. So, yeah, thank you all for joining us here tonight. We've got things about to kick off, qualifying just kicking underway now, and then let's go ahead and pull up our standings to show where your favorite drivers are in the points at the moment. And so right now it's a tie for the lead between Gabe Butler and Raymond Rittenhouer. You can see Gabe having the 5 top 5s and the 5 top 10s. So far he has been perfect in the season. He's going to look to finish off this second portion of the season just as strong, of course. But the big thing for these guys, those wins, they lock you into that final 4-race playoff with the total of 8 drivers for it. So you see Raymond Rittenhauer with Gabe Butler and Dale Willoughby, those 3 locked into the playoffs. Then you got Eric Laurie in a solid 4th position. Charles Johnson, a big jump up into the 5th spot. And then right now you see Jim and Quabi Brooks in 6th and 7th. And actually Quabi tied with Todd Merkel for that 7th position, which basically at this point effectively makes them the top 8. But again, we talked about the race wins as well. We have a few drivers that have a race win that are a little further down the points here. You see Kevin Friesen, he's missed a couple of races, but he does have that win, so he should be good to go to advance. The same thing goes a little further down. Kevin Hash in the 03 car, he sits 15th position, but has that win to be able to advance him into that final 8. So say right now you look at those numbers, and so right now if you are Quabi Brooks, Jim Brooks, Todd Merkel, even Charles Johnson, you're not feeling too confident. Yeah, you might need to get that win in the bag here. And it's saying we still have a few heavy hitters that haven't got that win this season, so I could definitely shake up the running order for those top 8 as well. So going to be a lot to play for tonight. Again, really want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I say, unfortunately, my normal partner in crime, Dale Knott, he is on the road this evening, so won't be able to have him in the booth with me tonight. But I say I am going to get a very talented backup, which is going to be Maxwell Caldwell. That obviously helps me out a lot on the Thursday premiere series, so he'll just be in a little bit later on. So he's usually pretty busy, but he's going to try to make some time to sneak in over here. So really appreciate him hopping on here in just a little bit. But yeah, so we're about to get things kicked off. The qualifying has just about completed, and once it does, we will go over our starting grid for tonight's event. Alright, and with that, qualifying has just completed, so let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. And on pole position, it's going to be the number 9 of Charles Johnson. We talked about how he was in the points. He's in a good spot, but wants to get a little more, and he's going to get that bonus point right off the bat with that pole position. In second, you see the number 89 of Matt Quick. Gabe Butler there in 3rd. You got Todd Merkel 4th, Raymond Rittenhauer 5th, Quabi Brooks in 6th. Dean Wilkinson 7th, Kevin Hash is in 8th, Jack Walls 9th, Michael Spell rounds out our top 10. Then 11th is Bud Steele in 12th. One of the new names tonight is that number 12 of Dylan Hale. I'll keep going down the grid here a little further. You got Eric Laurie, Kevin Fries, Robert DuPont, Nick Manfredi, Jay Hilliard, Alberto Lopez, Joseph Morales, Jim Brooks. Say another new name to the league here. A couple of them actually. You got James Hickson, Bradley Green, and then of course we know the 45 of Todd Siebels, Donnie Lyons, as well as I believe a new member here as well in that number 79 machine. And then we've got John Brill, Dave Thatcher, and Michael Taylor. Michael, another one of those that is new to the league. So really great to see some new names, new faces bring themselves into this league. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they've got in store for us tonight. I say it's going to be a kind of a trial by fire. Say I feel like at iRacing Superspeedway, like I mentioned, speeds up to 240 plus miles an hour. It's in a very, very difficult, probably one of the most difficult pit roads. It's going to make things all the more interesting and probably a little crazy for these guys tonight. Alright, you see the pace car rolling off. That's going to send the drivers out on track as well. So I'll say that front row going to be, again, Charles Johnson, Matt Quick leading the way. And then you see the rest of the field here starting to pull out of their pits. Or out of their, I should say, their starting locations here. But like I said, pits I think are going to be a very critical one here tonight. I think there's going to be a lot that can be gained or lost through that strategy here tonight. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what that strategy is going to unfold for some of these drivers tonight. Alright, so at the moment we have 25 cars on track. I did notice James Hickson in the 19, he has opted to start from pit road. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the 45, yeah, you see Todd Siebel's there as well. So two drivers opting a little bit of alternate strategy, maybe a little worried about, again, it's a bigger group tonight. So we got 27 drivers here taking part in this one. Say 25 are going to be taking the green on track, and then these two will be leaving from the pits. So we'll say, luckily for them, they'll have some people to work with each other to help minimize the track position loss. But it's going to be up front. It's going to be that 9 and the 89 of Charles Johnson and Matt Quick leading this field to the green flag tonight. Alright, pace car ducks off, so it's going to put it into the hands of that number 9. So you see the flagman there. Once that flag waves, green flag is down and underway. And we are green here at iRacing Superspeedway. Again, 75 laps is the race distance. Charles Johnson and Matt Quick going to lead the field to green, and so far they're heading pretty steady here as they enter turn 1 for the first time. Everybody's spacing out pretty easily here so far as they head into turn number 3 for the first time. And it's going to be Charles Johnson getting that first lap, or possibly getting the first lap led. I shouldn't jump the gun too soon because you can get a big run here out of 4. Actually, as they say that, here goes Gabe Butler. He's going to jump to the top. Charles Johnson going to lose that drafting help. And as I say that, it looks like it's actually going to be that one of Gabe Butler going to get lap number 1 led. As you see the 87 and the 1 locked on in that outside line, they're going to both be able to clear that 9 car as they head back into turn number 1 here. So I do need to mention Todd Siebels did exit the pits and he is out on track. Unfortunately, the 19 car of James Hickson still sitting in pit road. So unfortunately, maybe some technical difficulties for him. Oh, I see one spinning down on the inside here. I believe that is Bradley Green. We'll go and try to see what happened to the number 4 machine here. I'll say not sure if he got caught up in something or there's something. Yeah, there's something. You can definitely tell the car just started kind of jumping around on him. So I think definitely something on the hardware side. Maybe the wheels started acting up. I'm not sure, but as you jump back live here, jump back up front, and it looks like Charles Johnson is able to now get that lap led in that 9 machine, as he's got a lot of help from that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. I say Dale and I, we've been talking about Dean a lot the last couple of weeks. That car's definitely been one to watch lately, and he's been a great pusher, and he's doing exactly what he's doing right now, just locked onto the back of that number 9 machine. see Dean there make a big move underneath Charles out of into 3 and then bump right back up out of 4. So he's going to take the point now. He's going to try to get that lap lead as well. We saw Todd Merkel right there in the mix as well. And actually, as we go 3 wide, because out of nowhere here comes that 20 of Alberto Lopez with no help here. He's going to try to charge his way to the front. And right now, he is easily our highest climber of the race here, jumping 15 positions up into that 3rd spot there at the line. So we're mentioning the speeds that these guys are putting on here. So I will show you kind of what I'm talking about, as we'll show the input here on Alberto Lopez. See right there, 240 miles an hour as they head into turn number 3. And saying again, that's not with a lot of drafting help for that number 20 car. So you just have to wonder how fast these things in the main part of the drive, especially when they get that big momentum. As now you see Todd Merkel, he's taking the point in that 2 machine. But say one constant's kind of been that 1 and the 87. Those two have really kept themselves to the front here. So now the question, of course, was going to be what the pit strategy is going to be for these guys we mentioned. Sounds like maybe about 16, maybe 17 laps on fuel, which will not get them to that window to make it on a 3-stop strategy. So I think we're going to see probably a little bit of strategizing going on. Maybe some drivers opting to try to be real aggressive on the fuel save. We'll have to wait and see there. But right now, everybody holding pretty steady. You see the lead pack's kind of settled out now. Pretty much singled out here in the front group, all the way back to, you see back through Jack Walls, Charles Johnson, Eric Laurie. So you're trying to see where the first 2x2 is here. And so you see right there, a little bit of a bobble there by Robert DuPont. But that's actually, I'm going to jump back up because we got some more movement going on. Here's a big move to the outside. That's going to be Gabe Butler, Raymond Rittenhauer. They're going to push their way back to towards the front. And again, both cars able to clear that 2 of Todd Merkel. We got some special paint schemes, it sounds like, as well. So glad you're able to join us. So we'll start off with that number 20 of Alberto Lopez in that number 20 scheme. I say it's some supporting the Todd Jr. Motorsports. So the 20 is one of those first cars there in that number. I say in that really nice paint scheme in that Toyota Supra. And we'll jump back a little further to find the 07. We just saw Robert DuPont a little bit ago. You see he's got the kind of the green and blue themed on the scheme of his. And then I'm pretty sure I saw the 60, almost a reverse of it with Joseph Morales. As you can see his right there a little further back. So yeah, really good looking paint schemes. A really original number font as well. Really like that. It's always fun to see when you get some drivers with some original fonts on the car numbers. So yeah, really nice paint schemes there. So I say hopefully we'll be able to get a closer look at those when we get to the end of this race, get some top 3 interviews. Say if with all going well, maybe they can sweep the podium here tonight. Leaders come out through turn number 4, heading back to start finish line to start lap number 8. You see Raymond Rittenhauer. He's going to jump in front and take the lead. So I'm going to let my partner in crime get settled in a little bit because I say, Maxwell, I appreciate you joining me late notice. But I say it's going to be a huge benefit to have you here as well tonight. And I mean, say right now, so we've done plenty of these cars over at some of the other tracks, but I say we haven't done any of them when they're going about 240 here down the straightaways.
Absolutely, Guile. Glad to be here tonight. Glad to have you having me here. Sorry, I'm a little late. Church on Sunday nights normally runs right till 7:30, so having to drive home and try to get settled in here. But glad to be here tonight with you guys on Green White Checker TV, and glad to be back getting to broadcast another Superspeedway race. Seems like the last time I was here with you at iRacing Superspeedway, we had some exciting strategy, and from what I could hear on the broadcast earlier, where you started off, sounds like we've got a very interesting fuel window for tonight. So excited to see how that shakes out as we go 3 wide for the lead going into turn 1.
Yeah, so that 20 of Alberto Lopez, he is not giving up. It doesn't matter if he's got help or not. He's going to try to find a way to get up there. But I say Jay Hilliard, though, he's got the push he needs. And it's been, again, Dean Wilkinson. He's been one of these guys to watch. He's been such a good pusher. And he's going to get that 59 to the front. Here comes Eric Laurie he's going to make a big move. He jumps straight to the inside while they stayed in the middle groove. Doesn't have the help at the moment, but that 071 car using that low line here to his full advantage here.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Guile, nobody's hanging back tonight, are they? Everybody's in this lead pack ready to mix it up. There's 3 wide in the middle of the pack, front of the pack. They're racing all over this track tonight. And it's another 3 wide battle. Little bit close going into 1, but looks like they all made it out unscathed. And I see a 5 car that is shooting his way to the front through the middle.
Yeah, so and that's the thing is you got so much room. You just got to be smart about how you do it. And you see right there, Eric Laurie saw that 5 of Kevin Friesen coming in. He's like, oh, yep, I know exactly where I got to go here. I'm going to sneak right in front of that number 5 car. And you see they're going to lock onto each other, make a big move down into turn number 3. So I think right now a lot of these drivers are opting to try to make that strategy calls, get that lap lead in under their belts, get that bonus point. I think that's going to be a critical one for a lot of these drivers' time. We've talked about how close these points are, and you see that Eric Laurie is going to grab that lap lead there. So he's getting a great push from Kevin Friesen.
Absolutely. And, you hear me on Thursday nights all the time talking about those bonus points. Matter of fact, at the road course, I'm pretty sure we talked about leading laps for a bonus point there last week. But, man, how much easier it seems to be in these plate races where you can always swap positions around to get up there and get that bonus point. That way the competition doesn't have that extra advantage on you. And as we draw near to these playoffs coming up, you know how these Superspeedway guys race. They are aggressive from lap 1 all the way to the end. And these guys, there's so many familiar names that find themselves up to the front. And from what you said tonight, there's a tie right now for the points lead tonight. So every point matters going into these playoffs. A driver could miss it by 1 or 2 points as they are always finding a way to go 3 wide before they get off into turn 1 here. These guys racing and mixing it all up. It looks like that 5 car did indeed get a lap lead before he fell on back.
Yeah, you see right there from that 5 car for Kevin Friesen, he got that lap he wanted, and then he said, you know what? I'm going to roll straight back here, get kind of where I feel is a safe spot, and then I'll worry about my racing a little bit later because we've talked about tough pit roads before, Maxwell. And this kind of reminds me almost of a Dover, if you will, for the pit road with the banking difference going into the pits, because it is a very rough transition. And again, you're coming in about 230 or so, probably coming out of turn 4, and you got to get that thing all the way down to, I believe it's about 65, 70 miles an hour. So I'll say it's definitely not something that you can just kind of ride off and be like, oh yeah, I'll be able to make it. Some of the best guys are talking about how difficult it was for them to get into pit road here during practice.
Absolutely, and I believe the last time that I raced in this series or was in this car at this track seemed like we were maybe in the Cup cars, and they have a lot of downforce getting onto this pit road. Yeah, you go really fast and have to slow down a lot, but the car has plenty of grip. From the Thursday night series and running practice laps with the guys in these Xfinity cars, they're a lot different suspension-wise. They really don't have as much of that aerodynamic grip as the Cup car does, so definitely could see where getting on pit road here at this track could be so tricky because you're going from, like you said, 230, 240 miles an hour all the way down to, I think, 70 or 80 miles an hour, I believe. So definitely a tough pit road. Pit speed actually 65 miles an hour tonight. So that is a huge difference in speed trying to blow that thing down. And let's not forget, as they try to get on pit road, you're trying not to get ran over from your fellow competitors because we see that from time to time as well, where different people have different braking points. So definitely going to be something to watch here tonight in this race, Kyle. Yeah,
so actually that's a good point too. Like you said, having to get it all the way down to 65, and then the next trick is, these drivers, they're pretty familiar with getting into their pit stalls from about 55, maybe even a little lower. So they got to account for 10 more miles an hour to have to try to woe that car down into their pit stall. So it just kind of adds to the difficulty for these guys. It's really drivers got to really be careful not to overshoot their pit stalls here on entry as well.
Absolutely, and you notice, guy, we're getting at that point in the run. Everybody's got the little racy part out of them. They're now realizing that pit stops could be looming here very soon. So now they're just starting to get single file. They're starting to strategize. When are we going to pit? How are we going to come in? Who are we going to pit with? As we're on lap 15 of this race. So much going on. Time to get ready for those pit stops. You see 2 guys still fighting on the outside, but everybody else single file prepping to come pit with their friends out there on track.
Yeah, see if any takers this time by. So far, so good. So I was curious to see if anybody maybe try to pit a lap early just to cover their bases a little bit, just in case something came up. Let's say now as all this is going on, you see they're just about to catch Todd Siebels, who unfortunately started from the pits and did not have any help with him, so that's going to drop him now down a lap here early on. However, the only car will be 1 lap down, so that's going to be the kind of the silver lining for Todd. But yeah, I think pit stop window probably just about to open here because drivers are talking about 16 laps on fuel. It's going to be curious, though, some of the drivers I want to watch and see who is able to stretch that little bit extra if they can make that magic number to still keep it a 3-stop race tonight.
Absolutely. And, as these drivers cycle around, I hear the radio chatter picking up. So I'm assuming drivers are getting ready to come down. Here comes our leaders. A big pack of cars coming down and one into the inside wall trying to slow down. Who's going to make pit road speed and who's going to be just a bit too fast here? We're going to have to find that out, Gael. But we got a good 7, 8 cars coming down pit road right now.
Yeah, I said a lot of the lead pack, like you mentioned. You got Alberto Lopez, Todd Merkel, Dean Wilkinson's in there. Jay Hilliard, Dave Thatcher, Robert DuPont, Joseph Morales, John Burrell, Donnie Lyons, Michael Taylor. So yeah, so a big chunk of drivers hitting pit road now. So we'll jump back up front because now it's going to be the 53 of Quabi Brooks leading the way. But Jack Walls, I think he's going to try to see if he can get a lap led in the 83 car. So we'll see if Jack's going to try to go an additional lap or not. Otherwise, he's going to have to try to tuck in here. So I suspect the 53 probably has to hit pit road this time. Just based on him being up front. Yeah, here he comes. Here comes the next set of drivers hitting pit road. Not as many cars this time. Looks like, actually, it's still another big group here. You got the 53, the 9, the 88, the 29, the 87, the 5, the 89, the 03, 071, 1, and 12. So actually, 12 actually, Dylan Hale. He had a moment. Looks like something happened to him on pit entry. You see a lot of nose damage to his car. I'll see if I can try to find what happened to him here on the pit entry. So I gotta find him on my ticker here. Oh yeah, he had, I'm not sure if he had contact going in, but yeah, unfortunately just goes for a slide, catches the inside wall. And yeah, so that's gonna be some pretty heavy damage to him. So say we'll jump back live, however.
And it looks like we got the rest of our leaders pitting here. And I'll tell you who looks like they're in the catbird seat. And it was the leader before green flag stops. Todd Merkel had someone right on his bumper out of the pits. And it's really showing as he gets ready to make a pass, I think, for the tentative lead right now. It's so hard to keep up with super speedways of who's leading when because of these pit stops. But I think as everything cycles out, that battle that Todd Merkel's got there, that's going to be the pack going for the lead here, I think.
Yeah, so we're going to look out the back of Charles Johnson right now, who's showing as, well, at the moment will become our race leader. But here comes that 55 of Dean Wilkinson with a huge head of steam. Alberto Lopez as well. And yeah, it's going to be Alberto Lopez taking the point there. Once they complete the cycle of pit stops, there's 3 drivers that went that one lap later. And that was the 6 of Bud Steele, the 51 of Jim Brooks, and the 83 of Jack Walls. So now for them, they just got to try to get as quickly as possible out of pit road here to try to get back into the cycle and try to get back with this lead pack because this pit stop's really spread the field out a little bit here.
So with these guys that just pitted here in this last group, do they have a chance to make it on one less stop than the rest of the drivers? I wasn't able to get any fuel numbers before I came in here, but I heard you talking about some sort of lap range for them. So I'm really curious, do you think these guys that pitted here very late may have an opportunity as we see some of them here, but still get swallowed up by a pack? Do you think they have enough fuel to make it one less stop than the rest of the field? Maybe that's what they're gunning for here.
I think that is the strategy. I don't know if it's going to pan out for them or not. I say right now, because the other part is they're going to have to really be aggressive here to get back into the draft here. Say Bud Steele, the one right now that's been able to get in the best position of those guys doing so. But for my numbers, lap 19 was going to be the magic number to try to hit. If you could hit 19 laps on fuel and then pit, that would get it where you can make it to the end. So I believe they're right on the edge, maybe the 1 lap short because they pitted coming to 19. So I'm thinking they might be just a little bit shy here. But I mean, you never know the way these things run out. Because I mean, the thing is, let's say they're half a lap short. I mean, they could coast at that point, probably that half lap and be able to make it to the finish still ahead of these guys. So because I mean, there's a lot of time lost in the pits here. With the speeds here of about 240 miles an hour. Let's say so that if you could get rid of a pit stop, that's going to take you a very, very long ways.
Absolutely, and we just had a moment last lap going off into turn 3. The 59 of Jay Hillard, he just took off the hill. Almost looked like a tire went down the way it took off. But I think that's just the air here, and as you get in a draft to get those big runs going off into the steep banking, sometimes the cars bottom out and just shoot you up the hill, and I think that's exactly what happened to that 59. But big moment for him. I think maybe he only kissed the wall. Still looks to be drafting okay, but could have been a race changer for him there, the way that car took off. Something we're going to have to watch for tonight, Gael. These guys get these big runs. They may not be able to floor it all the way around when they get those big runs because, like I said, the nose of this car can and will take off on you, especially going into turn 3. Always felt like that was a trouble corner whenever I was racing here as far as getting big runs and trying to keep it down low.
Yeah, and you're exactly right in saying one of the hardest parts for me too was was just avoiding to hitting the apron on entry, especially into turn number 3 for whatever reason. 3 was just that much more difficult than turn 1. So I'll try to drop back a few cars here and try to see if we can find something that's kind of pinned to the inside here. And actually, we'll try Dave Thatcher here in that number 420 car. And you will watch here as he enters turn number 3. You can see right now there's not a lot of, you can't really get a good view of where the entry is, and so you kind of just have to base it off of just memory and then also just trusting the guys around you. But yes, I mean, if you hit there too early, you're just going to catch the apron and just throw you straight up the track. So do need to mention after the pit stop cycle, we've got about 18 cars still in this lead pack. Gabe Butler right now, the last of those. So let's say from the group we had about of that 25 or so, 24 I believe it was, it's now dropped to about 18 after the pit stops right now. Unfortunately, John Brill's kind of off on his own here in that 90 car. And then a little bit further back, you've got Robert DuPont as well in the 07 on his own. And then you see you got Donnie Lyons in his 79. But then Dylan Hale, he's got some help with Eric Laurie. So those two are going to make a little bit of time here as well. And then we saw, unfortunately, with some of the drivers having some troubles there, Michael Taylor as well. And then Todd Siebels hasn't got that caution he wants yet to try to get that lap back.
Absolutely, but I tell you what, these Area 51 guys, they put on a heck of a show here at the Superspeedways, and they've got it figured out over a lot of other leagues, I'd have to say right now, because how many races do we have now that just go green flag, checkered flag, you know? These guys just have figured out how to race around each other, how to race clean and respectful, but they also race hard. You don't see guys just always riding in a single file lane all the time. You see these guys trying to get these massive runs and pushes, but they know what they can do with each other, and they know what they need to kind of avoid to make sure there isn't a big wreck. Not saying there won't be one here tonight. I hope I'm not giving a commentator's curse here, but it's always nice to see these guys just be able to run really hard lap after lap and just be able to strategize. And even with all those different pit strategies, Gael, isn't it funny how the pack always seems to just come right back together? That's how you know you orchestrated it and you all executed properly, is everybody comes back together.
Yeah, exactly right. And so the ones I'm going to be watching right now on the fuel strategy we mentioned, the first of those is going to be that 6 of Bud Steele. He's right now the furthest up of those that went the furthest on fuel. And I'll say the other drivers that went along as well was the 83 of Jack Walls and the 51 of Jim Brooks. So I want to see if they can continue that trend of going maybe about 2 laps longer than the rest of the field. It's going to be very interesting to see if that comes out to fruition for these guys for that potential strategy. However, we see the battle up front now. It's Raymond Rittenhauer trying to get a lap lead, it looks like, in that 87 car. And again, picking up a great pusher in that number 5 of Kevin Friesen as they come out of 4.
Absolutely. And, you know, we know guys like Raymond Rittenhauer and Gabe Butler, Kevin Hash, those kind of drivers. We know we see them up front week in and week out in this Super Speedway series, but you know, we've got some of these guys that run all 3 series with Area 51, the Indy cars on Tuesdays, the Premier Series on Thursdays, and the Super Speedway series here on Sundays. And you know, some guys are just strong in one discipline, but someone I got my eye on right now is Kevin Friesen at 5. He's always been good here at these plate races in Super Speedway, but man, if you guys have not been watching Thursday nights and watching that Premier Series races, you've got to go back and check out some of those races we've had this season, because Kevin Friesen has really turned his game up in that series as well, running these same cars. So it's nice to see some of these drivers be versatile in all kinds of different disciplines and just seeing them just shine. And Kevin Friesen is just having a heck of a season so far on Thursday nights. It looks like he's having a heck of a season over here too, as he thought about going for the lead, but tucks back in behind Raymond, who's just going to try to ride with one of the series' best here, trying to get to the lead, knowing who he can follow to get him to the front of this pack.
Yeah, saying if there's those drivers, let's say I know Kevin and Raymond, they work with each other a lot. Saying I think you see right here, they're it initially looked like they're going to maybe drop to the back, but looks like they're going to kind of still run this middle group here. So right now these guys are doing a really good job, and like you mentioned, I mean, some of the guys, like I said, also the one of Gabe Butler getting that top 5 last week, or I should say actually on Thursday at the Daytona Road Course. So doing a little bit of everything, and we talked about before the race with him, and he talked about just the practice he put in for that race, saying he gained about 6 seconds from his first laps to his best lap in the race. So I mean, just the time he put in before that race to what he was able to do, and I think that's kind of again shows the dedication of these guys running the multiple series through the week. So I think this is kind of their bread and butter, but they're definitely making sure they step up their game for the Thursday series as well.
Absolutely, and just seeing improvement all the way around on the Premier Series. I may be biased. I would say it's one of the tougher races. We got one car pitting here. I guess they're a little bit off strategy here. But just, seeing these guys on Thursday running some tough tracks and some difficult conditions and just really shining over there as well. I think it's just awesome to see some of these plate racers and some of our IndyCar guys coming over and seeing what the Premier Series is all about. And, I may or may not be, trying to hype it up since that's kind of where I'm from in Area 51. But just some great racing over there, but also some great racing over here. And I think, honestly, as they race more in that Premier Series, I believe somehow or another it's really helping them with car control over here in this Superspeedway series. Just being able to maneuver their cars better, get onto pit road better, be able to get in and out of the pit box better. Things they may be learning on Thursdays that are really helping them over here. Just track time, right? Doesn't matter where you're at. The more track time you get and the more time you get seated in this particular car, you learn all the quirks about it, and it will translate even to Superspeedway racing.
Yeah, exactly right. I say there's nothing like seat time. And say you also mentioned drivers that do run all three series, and I said we got two of them right together here. You've got the 83 of Jack Walson right now sitting in the 6th position. He is one of those that really likes to run a little bit of everything. Seen him in the Indy Series, see him here in Superspeedway. Also runs a fair bit of the Premier Series, and then also that 2 of Todd Merkel. I think this is probably about his 2nd or 3rd season of running all 3 series. It's really been fun to watch him as well, doing a little bit of everything. And saying even on his personal life too, he's been doing a lot of pro stock racing. It sounds like he's actually gone away from that, getting back into karting in that 2 car. So pretty cool to see Todd kind of bouncing around with his hobbies as well in obviously in iRacing, but of course in the real world as well.
Absolutely. And as we're talking here, I'm watching this race and just watching these lines unfold, and you're really seeing that outside lane start to dissolve here, and you're starting to see that 5 car and that 87 start moving their way back. But notice that Kevin really got far away from Raymond. So I don't know if Raymond wanted to race up front a little bit, and Kevin's like, no, I want to go ahead and find my way to the back. Notice he's had plenty of places to move in front of people, but he waits till he gets almost to the last car in line to slot in. I think he's just trying to make sure he gets a good, smooth pit entry. Nobody runs him over. And I also think after running up front for a minute, he was just trying to see what his car could do. And now maybe he's going to try to make up some fuel save to make sure he's hitting his lap number that he needs to make his strategy work tonight. So
I think
a lot of
that's
games
exactly
these drivers are playing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think you nailed on the head. You're the nail on the head right there on the fuel strategy, because you look at the pit time or the pit stops. The drivers pitted last time by was around lap 16 to lap 18, and we're at lap 32 right now. So I think that pit window probably starting to open up for the second stop for a lot of drivers here. One of the first drivers that did pit that last time around was the 20 of Alberto Lopez. He's the furthest up of those that did pit last time around. So I'm going to watch this 20 car and see if he does come in this time or not. And it looks like he stays up. We do have a few coming in and saying it was those guys we just saw drop to the back. You got Raymond Rittenhauer there. You got Matt Quick, Kevin Hash here, Kevin Friesen. And then you also got Gabe Butler. So you got 5 of these guys coming into pit road here. And I think they're going for that strategy of try to maybe see if they could pit a little early here. If they can all hit their pit stops perfectly, come out together, and then be able to make the hay here once basically getting up to speed lap. We know how critical those are with these super speedway tracks.
Absolutely, and we've seen these guys time and time again pull this strategy where they pit with nobody else, and you think they're just going to lose the pack, and next thing you know, they're 5-6 seconds ahead of the pack. So these guys know how to get in a line together and work together, and they know how to get on and off pit road together. But we see a bunch of cars reacting to that coming back down. We see 7 cars coming off out of that lead pack, bringing it down, and some guys white smoking the tires, trying to bring it down to that pit road speed. Again, 230 mile an hour all the way down to 65 mile an hour. It's like you're crawling on pit road, Gael.
Oh yeah, this is painful for these guys. And I say just to add a little bit of trouble here, I say they're coming in while drivers are coming out too, so they got to be careful about that. Make sure they hit their pit stalls here. So far, so good. Looks like everybody hits their box perfectly there. So say that was, you have Charles Johnson, Todd Merkel, Dean Wilkinson, Alberto Lopez, Dave Thatcher, Jay Hilliard, Joseph Morales, Eric Laurie, Dylan Hale, Robert DuPont. But now I'm going to jump back up front because here's Bud Steele again. He went the furthest last time, and he's going to go one more lap again here, Maxwell. So he's going to get it to lap 35 this time around. So say he is definitely stretching that field number. And again, looking at the guys that are with him here. He's got a couple of big names there. We talked about him and Jack Walls running the furthest. Michael Spells right there. He's been able to stretch it this run. Jim Brooks, we saw him as well go the furthest last time, but then also Nick Manfredi, Quabi Brooks, they've been able to stretch that field number as well here. So say you see as they're coming out of the pits as well, they're going to have some traffic to kind of jump around here. But say like you see even with these 8-second pit stops, Maxwell, these guys are still going to lap down. Just again, you said that painful 65 miles an hour in the pit road when these guys are going about 240 on the track.
Absolutely. And, you know, as I watch this strategy and see all these different cars coming down pit road, you see the rest of the field kind of come to make their pit stop. I don't see any more now unless there's a caution where these guys can make it on that one less stop. I think everybody's now on the same strategy of just pitting, 3 or 4 times tonight.
Yeah, the goals, I think it's going to be most likely a 4-stop for most drivers here. I think some of these guys are trying to see if they can make that 3-stopper happen or get close to it. We saw Quabi Brooks have a big moment on his pit entry, but was able to keep it off the wall and off the cars around him. So it was a good save for him in the 53. However, up front, it's cycled now back to the 9 of Charles Johnson, who's going to cycle back through the lead most likely once this pit stop cycle completes. So say we saw that slight short pit entry with the 5 and basically the Kevins and Matt Quick, Raymond Rittenhauer, Gabe Butler. They are right there with him, but say Charles Johnson, then they held serve very well there to keep in that top spot here.
Absolutely, and almost a moment for one of our guys out here, Kevin Friesen, is a car that was off the pace, did not move up for him, and he kind of had to go a little bit below that yellow. I don't know if the admins are going to say anything about that or not because he was just trying to avoid a wreck, but definitely had a guy not giving a lot of room to cars that were faster and on the lead lap. So I think he was just trying to keep himself in the game here, but about caused an incident there on the front stretch, and I heard the radio chatter where Kevin was not too thrilled with that. But, you know, that's a danger at this track. The closing rate is just so quick. When you catch somebody that's off the pace and they don't move for you, you expect them to. You really don't have anywhere to go, and if you take too big of a base of action, you could easily spin this car out and cause a big wreck. Yeah,
exactly right. And you're right. I mean, the closing speed, I'd say we're going to be harping on it all race long. Is again, I mean, these guys are going to say, well, we'll switch over right now. We'll look at one of the guys a little further back. We'll actually look at Kevin Friesen. We'll look at his speed right now. And it says he goes down the backstretch right now, 240 as he's working his way down the backstretch, 242. I mean, it's just approaching. It looks like 244 just before he hit turn number 3 there. And I say that was with Kevin Hash right behind him. So again, I mean, like you said, you're coming out of speed here. You're out of pits here, down not at speed, going probably about maybe 120. We'll say you're gonna be someone going twice that speed. Is saying that's what, like you said, that closing rate. It's gonna be so quick, and it's gonna really catch some drivers if you don't hit it right.
Absolutely, and I gotta give a shout out to this group of 4 here that pitted after that real prestigious group did. The ones that pitted first, you know, your Kevin Hash, Kevin Friesen, Raymond Rittenhauer, and all them. You know, that group pitted first, and we know how they stick together and normally just take off. They've had to take a few laps to even try to catch this group that pitted the next lap after. That tells me that second group really executed well. Now we see that group of Kevin Friesen and Kevin Hash starting to catch up and make a big line, but it took them 2 or 3 or 4 laps to really get up here and put themselves in this spot. So real nice to say that. And Jack Wall's also making his strategy work, where he was on a little bit of a different strategy. He's right there in the top 5 hanging out. So
yeah, and Jack's actually
up a little.
Yeah, and Jackson, the best of those guys that went those extra couple laps. He's in this lead pack here. I said we got to go back to about a couple seconds here, back to Bud Steele, who's leading that second group. But you can see they're a couple seconds behind the group. Like, I mean, I'm trying to look on the TV cameras right now, and you can't really see them. So we'll hop on board on the roof. You see the lead pack. They're entering turn number 3 now. You wait those couple seconds, and then the 6 rolls into there. So yeah, so right now they've done a really good job, I should say, of Jack Walls to be able to work his way up in that main pack. So great pit entry, pit exit for the 83 car. However, from the 6 on back, they've got a little bit of work to do if they want to try to close that gap and get it back into this lead pack, which right now is down to about 11 cars, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, and we've been nothing short of racing here tonight. These guys will get single file for pit stops, but that's really about it. Other than that, these guys have been racing up front. And Gael, do you see what I see? A brightly colored 89 car that has made his way to 7th position that we normally don't see till the end of the races, just sneaking up. Mr. Where did he come from? Matt Quick starting to make an appearance, trying to race his way into the top 5 after hanging out in the back much of this race.
Yeah, I say Matt's usually Mr. Fuel Save, but I don't think that number, even he was like, yeah, that's not going to be a realistic approach for me. So I think he's opting to kind of work with his teammates here, as you see Jack Walls making a big move, just about getting to the lead there. That inside line prevailing though, with Charles Johnson still leading the way with Alberto Lopez behind him. But you're right though, say they're starting to kind of get gathered up again on the top side. You see the 03 pushing the 83 here down the back. Going to try to see if they can push that 83 of Jack Walls to the point here.
And that outside lane looks like it really does have momentum, but it looks like it takes 4 or 5 cars to truly get it rolling. Because they get to a certain point, at least in this particular pack, they've gotten to a certain point, and now it just seems like they've stalled out. But as that bottom line starts to break up a little bit, and those 4 drivers stay fairly close, you're going to see right here on the front stretch, they're going to get a run by a car length or 2. But if that bottom line gets closed back up, if the 87 can get back to the back bumper there, of I believe it's Dean Wilkinson maybe, or the 45, I'm sorry. Well, I'm trying to look for my view. I can't tell what color it is. That big yellow car in the back that's kind of to itself. If he can get up there to him and they can catch back up, I think that top lane is going to actually have a hard time trying to make this pass with just 3 cars up there.
Yeah, I think that's the 45 of Todd Siebels. Unfortunately for Todd, I mean, he's been in this lead pack since he's got to it, but unfortunately, I say he missed the start of the race, had to start from the pit, so he's been a lap down since the beginning. But he's been holding serve with the leaders from the get-go. I do need to mention lap times right now. Charles Johnson is holding steady up front. He's been running 45. Looks like last time by was a 44.71. I look back to Bud Steele. I'm going to see what his lap time is this time around. And a 45.29, so about a half a second slower. So that gap is down, or has gone to about 5 seconds now between Bud Steele and then the last car in this group of that 420 of Dave Thatcher.
Absolutely, and that just tells me that that group did not execute on pit road properly. They didn't either pull out together to get in a draft early, and it took a while for them to gather everybody up, or they just had some slow pit times or some mistakes, maybe overshooting a box or something like that. But I tell you what, Guile, last lap, it's not even replay worthy, but if you did load it, it would just show how close this racing can get. The 83 Bout saw his right front into the wall on the front stretch. They were pushing hard, and you had I believe it was Kevin Hash, actually, that was pushing him at the time, maybe. And I think he just got right there on that right rear quarter panel and was pushing, and it just about hooked, but they backed out of it in time. And that's something we're going to have to watch as this race progresses and these guys get more and more aggressive. These pushes are going to get more and more aggressive, and we're getting close to playoff time. And some of these guys know if they want to be in, they got to win as far as this Super Speedway series goes, because these points can flip-flop all over the place. And if you really want to guarantee yourself to be one of those top 8, you might as well go win a race and make a statement with it. So be watching these pushes on the front stretch. These cars are really wiggling around. I'm even seeing it right now with Matt Quick and Kevin Hash. Seems like whoever Kevin pushes, he's got so much momentum, it just tends to get him that little bit loose. And if there's one wrong push at any moment, you're going to send a car straight into the fence and be a gnarly crash.
Yeah, as I went back and took a look at that while you were mentioning that, yeah, it was a big save by Jack Walls. I'm sure woke him up a little bit, but yeah, it didn't hamper these guys' aggression at all, because you see Matt Quick was able to get that push from Kevin Hash to the front, and now Kevin Hash has got that 5 of Kevin Friesen behind him. Raymond Rittenhauer is just about to jump in this mix as well. So yeah, may have caught him off guard a little bit, but they definitely hasn't backed off their aggression at all here.
Absolutely. And you never count Kevin Hash out when he's sniffing the lead. This guy, he is a great restricted plate racer. And you know as well as I do, I love to give Kevin Hash a hard time. Me and him are good buds on here. He's actually a sponsor for one of my best friends I've got here that I've raced with for 10 years, Larry Yingling, over on the Premier Series. I'm sure some of you viewers have heard that name plenty of times. But, you know, they like to have a bunch of banter, and I like to join in and just give Kevin a lot of a hard time. And if we get to interview him at this race, if he finishes top 3, you better expect I'm going to give him a hard time a little bit in the interview. But just such a great super speedway racer. I mean, he just can take the runs and roll with it. He can push well. He can lead well. Having a little trouble right now in that outside lane, but just look how organized that bottom lane is below him and how gapped they are right now. I'm sure the 5 started getting really hot and had to back out. And so it just wasn't worth right now fighting for that lead. So it looks like they're going to drop and try to slot in a hole here And it looks like, the 5 and the 87 slotted down, and Kevin Hash just sitting here singing all by myself as he finally finds a hole to slide into. It looks like Kevin Friesen lets him in, and now they're going to ride to yet that next pit stop. Gael, can you believe it? We're already getting close, I think, to the next pit window.
I was about to say the exact same thing. It's like, and actually, I think we're getting pretty close to that next window. And actually, as I say that, yep, here they come. It was right on cue. So it's going to be the 4 of them this time. So they're losing Matt Quick as he was the leading that second group. But yes, so here comes Kevin Hash, Kevin Friesen, Raymond Rittenhauer, and Gabe Butler for their third pit stop. So we know they're going to be doing that fourth stop. This is their scheduled plan here. So now it's going to be Matt Quick leading the way with these guys behind him. So Matt's going to be pitting with a new set of partners though now. So that's going to be the next trick for the 89 cars to make sure that kind of he's able to communicate with these guys to make sure they kind of stagger apart and that they don't risk any contact with one another here.
Absolutely. And, disclaimer here, I was not knowing they were going to pit that lap, but Gael, what a heck of a segue there, right? But as we see contact with the next group coming in pit road, huge contact from Merkel as they come down. It just everybody bottled up.
And Charles Johnson as well.
Yes, one's hitting the pit wall there. A lot of damage for these front runners. That's not good. We'll have to see what kind of damage they have and if they can repair it and get back out there and still meet that speed they need. This could be huge as far as the playoff standings. These are some big names that just got in an incident here on pit road. And one car is still on track, probably going to have some nose damage because I think he rear-ended the 2 of Todd Merkel.
And this might actually be the opportunity for them to say you never want to have to burn it early, but this might be the perfect opportunity for that fast repair though. So I look for Charles Johnson, Todd Merkel to maybe use that fast repair here. We're going to jump back up front though because we got Dean Wilkinson now leading the way. I suspect we'll see him on pit road. And yeah, here he comes with Jack Walls and with the 45 and I think that's Dave Thatcher as well. So you got Todd Siebels there with them. So that's the next group. And going a little further again this time by though, it's going to be that group with Bud Steele. They were off the lead pack here, but they're going to stretch this fuel mileage out again and see what they can get, if they can get something from it.
Absolutely. We see these guys all pitting and having different strategies. We got to see what works out. But I'll tell you who I see 2 cars that are stuck together right now after their first pit stop, and that's Kevin Hash and Kevin Friesen. The Kevins are working together and look like they're stuck to each other like glue. Look to see if their pit cycle ends up bringing them maybe to the lead after this all cycles out.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. It'll be very curious to see how they cycle out because, like you said, they've really separated themselves from their group as well. So you look back where Gabe Butler, Raymond Rittenhauer are, look how far back they are from them. They pitted together. So, yeah, so whatever the Kevins did, I mean, they hit that money stop right on the dot there. However, still stretching out here again is that 6, the 53, the 88, and the 51. They are trying to run this fuel number as far as they possibly can here. So I don't think it's going to be enough for them to make it on the 3 stops. But, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen. And the other thing that they're doing right now is they've got a lot of drivers right on the either a lap down or right on the tail end. Oh, as you see there, you talked about that careful on the merging. You saw right there, Bud Steele had to go below the yellow to avoid contact as well.
Absolutely. A lot of closing rate speeds here at this particular track because there are no I've been calling it restrictor plate racing all night. This track has no restrictor plate. These guys are almost 240 miles an hour hauling off into these corners. They're wide open with these cars, and, when you've got someone merging out at 180, 190, you would think they'd be fast enough. That's almost a 50-mile-an-hour speed difference at times. So definitely having to watch when you're merging and watch those mirrors. The last thing you want to do is take out a competitor, and really, if you get hit, you're going to take out yourself. So definitely got to be careful on those merges, but definitely seeing the pack seeming to be split up now at this moment. I'm assuming some of these guys that had that earlier damage, I forgot that they were going to have fast repairs, so I'm assuming they all got that checked just in time as I'm looking at Todd Merkel in the 2, knowing he had some damage, and he's looking pretty good right now, running with 2 of the league's best, Gabe Butler and Raymond Rittenhauer. He's in good company here, Gael.
Yeah, but I mean, right now the money stop is going to definitely be going to Kevin Hash, Kevin Friesen, because they're entering turn 3 now with a full head of steam and taking the lead. Oh, as you see, Bud Steele there got way wide on the pit entry. That was very close to being an incident there. Great job by Kevin Hash and Kevin Friesen to avoid that. That could have been huge right there. And it could also be a pit penalty possibly for that 6th car of an unsafe exit. What I got to mention, though, is we do have a lot of drivers here that got caught speeding on pit road. Looking at the pit stop times, the 53, Quabi Brooks, he got busted speeding. Matt Quick, Charles Johnson, Alberto Lopez, All of those drivers got caught speeding on their pit road entries. So right now we have a lot of drivers now cycled a lap or so down. Right now the Charles Johnson, I believe, sitting as the first car 1 lap down. So he's going to want to stay right with these top 2 drivers here.
Absolutely. So, like I said earlier, Kevin Hash, Kevin Friesen, I saw them bumper to bumper. And we know these guys are fast. Charles Johnson in great company as he mooches off their draft, trying to get that closing rate sucking up. And, man, he's making some great time. But maybe I missed something here, Gael, and all the hustle and bustle. But is that Matt Quick actually going a lap down, or did he just pit and he's cycling in line here?
No, that's Matt Quick also with that pit stop penalty. So what Matt's got to do is the same thing now. This is going to be the battle actually right now. That lucky dog position right now. It's a fight here between the 9, the 89, and possibly the 53 if he can get up into this draft as well. Because these 3 drivers all right now, first car 1, and actually you see the 53 here pulling off down onto the apron here. Not sure what's going on for him. So that's now going to put the fight between the 9 and the 89 to see who's going to be in that lucky dog position. Matt Quick's going to try to use that momentum here around the top side.
And what a battle you don't want to be a part of, having a battle for a lucky dog with less than 25 to go. I mean, that's not almost 20 to go, I think, coming around in a lap or two. It'd be 20 to go. And I'm hearing the 9 says he is going to be I thought I heard him say he was pitting this time, but then he moves up for Matt Quick. So I wonder if he's just going to let him by and ride, or if he's getting ready to pit in a lap or two. Maybe something we have to watch in this lead pack as I hear the driver communications going on. Kind of confused on that one and very much chased a rabbit there. I'm sorry, but just huge strategy here. Look at this, the 03 and the 5. 2.488 second gap, 2.5 second gap to the next cars. And really there's only 3 of them. And they've actually got technically 4 cars in this lead draft. They could really continue to pull away and make this a 2-car race for the finish, putting themselves in great position to battle for a win.
Yeah, exactly right. And if they can keep working together, because looking at their lap times, they're running good numbers. That group behind with Dean Wilkinson, they're running just about equivalent lap times here. 44.84 last time, actually 44.62 for Dean Wilkinson, so just a little quicker than that 55. But they've got a lot of cars grouped up behind them. Actually, you see, and this is going to hurt that momentum though. So now you see the 420 and the 20 car, they got a little bit off kilter of each other, so that's going to cost them a lot of momentum here. And that's going to kind of let that 03 here and the 5 be able to extend that lead now.
Absolutely, and looking through these results as we stand right now, only 12 cars on the lead lap. Gael, this is super speedway racing. This is the big tracks, right? This is a 3-mile oval, and we only have 12 cars on the lead lap. That shows just how treacherous pit road has been tonight. We have from 13th all the way up to the 21st position, 1 lap down. That's incredible. A lot of guys a lap down. No cautions to be seen so far this race. And unless something drastic happens, they're spaced out enough. I don't see a chance for a caution to come in their future. And which, again, hopefully I'm not commentator cursing anything. That'd be the last thing I want to do. But, these guys have really dug themselves a hole that they might not be able to get themselves out of, even with a caution. So they'll have to take a wave around just to get that lap back. And then they'll be at a fuel disadvantage and a tire disadvantage to these other guys. So when you're going 240 mile an hour, you definitely want 4 tires on that car, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what that strategy is going to be, because, of course, you kind of want to be as short of a pit stop as you can in these races, especially when the speed is up like it is. But what's really hurting the second group right now is you can see they just aren't staying very well organized, and now it's going to be Alberto Lopez locking on behind the 55, I should say, of Dean Wilkinson. So I'll say hopefully now they can get something set up a little bit better, because they were losing a little bit of time. It's dropped to about 3 seconds now. And you're mentioning the top 12 in the lead lap. Right now, as things run, we really only have about 8 drivers here that are in kind of a realistic shooting distance of the win here tonight. Because right now you've got from Kevin Hash back to Gabe Butler within about 4 seconds of one another. And then from there on back, they're about 15 on back. So really, should this stay green, this is really right now, these are the drivers that are in a potential position for a top 3 finish or a win tonight.
And the Kevins are pulling away from the field still. They now have a 3.3 second gap on 3rd place. That's huge in super speedway racing. That is a good chunk of time with as fast as they're going. So plenty of distance between them. They got 2 lap cars that are willing to not get in their fight. Probably even pit with these 2 leaders and work with them so they can fight for the car 1 lap down. They'd be in the best spot by doing that. Unless a caution comes out, Guile, I think if we look at the 03 and the 5, that's going to be your battle for the win here. I don't see, as far as lap times go, they lose another 2/10 to this lead group. So even though they're in a bigger pack, they're not running faster. They're not organized enough. And this front pack's all on the bottom running with each other, just running a straight line. So unless this pack of 3rd place through 8th gets their act together, for lack of better words, they're not going to have a chance to run down this lead pack. And, 4 seconds is no easy feat here at a super speedway, especially in Area 51 where these guys all know what they're doing. You would have to work extremely hard to pull this off. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do as we got 60 laps now in the books.
Yeah, that's going to be the question is going to be now is also when is that pit stop going to be? When's the time to make this stop? Because this isn't like a typical super speedway because, again, you can pit here. You're going to get lapped. At Daytona Talladega, if you can hit a quick enough pit stop, you can get back out and stay on the lead lap. So that's why you see a lot of times drivers maybe going for that short pit strategy. But I think right now with what we've seen here with those drivers going a lap down, I feel like this is the time where you want to run this thing until you have to pit. And then, of course, put just enough in where you can make it to the end. Maybe a little bit extra just to cover a potential for that green-white checkered. But you're right, though. I mean, again, we're talking about the gap from 1st and 2nd to 3rd. It's now stretched to just about 4 seconds, and here they come.
Speaking of pit, here they come.
And actually look a little further back, you see Raymond Rittenhauer, Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie. They're hitting pit road as well. So they're going for that strategy of go ahead and pit once that window opens. So now we'll have to see for Dean Wilkinson and company, do they react to this the next time by? Or do they say, okay, we're going to stretch this out, maybe see if we get that yellow. Maybe we trap those guys a lap down and they have to restart behind us no matter what.
Absolutely. Gael, something I'm going to have you watch on your end of things. That 03, he looked like he went past the speed line and still had white smoke rolling off the tires. So would be real interested to see what his pit speed was as he came in. Surely someone as experienced as Kevin Hash didn't speed with the lead, but notice I think they're running a different strategy. I don't really know if they took a whole lot of tires. I think they just kind of dumped some fuel in it and took off. As you kind of see them slipping a little bit on the apron, nothing too crazy, but I think they're a fuel and go here up front.
Yeah, it looks like it's fuel and go. And yeah, it looks like I say Hash is already back out, so I think they're good to go there. You see Kevin Friesen just kept it under the yellow line there on the pit exit. So
that's still going to be a close call on that 5.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I think he's going to get away with it. And they're also going to, hopefully, if they can pick up Matt Quick, that's going to be huge for their speed. If they can get that 3rd car along with them, that'll really help them out here. So now the other question, of course, is going to be Raymond Rittenhauer, Gabe Butler with Eric Laurie, if they can get going as well. But the next thing we got to watch for, though, is going to be this group here. And it looks like it's going to be Alberto Lopez, the quickest out of the pits of this group. But actually, it's going to be Dean Wilkinson, who's leading the group. Those guys I forgot are actually trapped a lap down or on the tail end of the lead lap. So this right now is going to be the battle for the pit exit to see who's going to cycle out as our leader, which right now the 55 is, again, they got a lot of speed to pick up here. They do have a little bit of momentum going their way.
And if Kevin Hash has not
and
sped
there
on
they
the
go.
road, I'm giving him a super attaboy for getting on pit road super aggressive. It didn't help him with his distance from the 5, but man, he gapped him coming into pit road for sure. Maximize that entry. That could be what causes this 03 to win this race today.
Yeah, saying that you see they just completed that pass for the lead, but saying well, now the next thing is, of course, to see what the net gain or loss is going to be, because you look at Dean Wilkinson, he's starting to pick up some speed. He's picking up Alberto Lopez, Charles Johnson, then you got Jack Walls right behind there in 4th. And then right now it's Raymond Rittenhauer, who is, I think, going to be in the 5th position. Right now Todd Siebels has stayed out here just trying to hope for that yellow, because he is right now off sequence from these guys. Been trying to get that lap back since the beginning of this race, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right, though. Right now, Kevin Hash and Kevin Friesen have done a great job through the cycle.
Absolutely, and look who they've got behind them. Lap down as it may be, it's still Matt Quick. And, the Quick in his name is coincidental because he is very quick in these cars. So he is absolutely there to, honestly, as a lapper, he has nothing to gain by passing them right now. Even if a caution doesn't come out and he quote-unquote gets himself on the lead lap. He's still going to finish in the same position regardless. So the best thing he can do is stay on the back bumper of the 5 and 03, some guys that he respects very well, that he races with quite often, and just be support for these two guys. Let them run their race when it comes to the end of going for the win, but just riding here and making sure he is the draft support that they need to continue pulling away, as it looks like that group of the 55, the 83, and the 87 has gained a little bit of time, but still not a lot. 2.7 back to third place. So they're really going to have to work hard here with just about 10 laps to go to try to not only catch these guys, but to actually try to make the pass as well. If they can get close and they can get in that draft, they will have a huge head of momentum to be able to just freight train by the 03 and the 5 and take that point.
Yeah, and I mean, they're in a really good spot where you can see they've actually really closed the gap that last time by 44.30 to 44.93. So what they're doing right now is they're picking up the draft off of Charles Johnson and Alberto Lopez. And then those two, I believe, are starting to pick up a little bit of draft off of Kevin Hash and Kevin Friesen and Matt Quick. So I don't think it's out of the woods yet for those two up front. I think right now the 55 and 83, they've got a very viable chance here to try to get the win here tonight. As you say, but now the question is, once they get to the 20 car, they got to figure out what they got to do. You see Jack Wallace, he's actually going to jump to the top for a moment, thinking that's where the 55 is going to go. So now these guys, they got to line up here, and they got to really get some big lap times down to be able to get into that draft of that 89 car.
Absolutely, and the only thing I'm thinking of why they didn't pass is they were worried about getting stalled out beside them and then getting stuck side by side. But, man, it's going to be hard. Even if you get this big head of momentum and you let the 9 and the 20 go by, the 55 and the 83 could easily get stalled out by that time next to the 03 and 5 of Kevin Hash and Kevin Friesen. So I think if they wanted to make the pass for the win, they needed to be in front of these two. And I think as close as they are now to those two, they need to be trying to get around this 9 and this 20 and trying to find a way to lead this 4-car pack. That way, when they get the big head of steam and the big momentum, they will be able to just freight train on by these guys.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And saying I'm still watching the lap times. The last time by, they're still getting a little bit, not as quick, but the ones that we haven't talked about them too much this last little bit, but they're definitely ones that are going to be reckoned with, is the 87 of Raymond Rittenhauer, the 1 of Gabe Butler. Say they are right there as well. They've been putting on some really big lap times, actually their fastest laps of the race that last time by. So it's kind of game on right now as we got 8 to go, and you can see that group is just about been able to close the window here to get into that draft here of Matt Quick. And that's going to open the potential for Dean Wilkinson and Jack Walls to make a move on those guys. But like I said, they're going to have to be ready to make that move quick, because you know that window is going to be very short-lived.
Absolutely, and this 88 of Michael Spell is not making it easy, but notice the 55 and the 83, they're going to hang that 20 car out to dry. They're going to stay low. They're going to hope the 88 ends up shooting up the hill in a minute. Ooh, as the 55 makes contact with the 20, keeps it all underneath, does not make contact, but gives that spot up to Jack Walls. Now, if they can get their momentum back, Jack Walls is going to be in the catbird seat to make that momentum pass and possibly get a win here tonight. Huge mistake by the 55 this late in the game. And look at two other drivers showing up. The 87 of Raymond Rittenhauer and the 1 of Gabe Butler. We know what these two can do late in a race, and here they are driving up through the field to come to about 6 laps to go.
Yeah, and that's really put Jack Walls in a bad spot, because he's just a little bit too far off of Michael Spell, and then just a little bit too far ahead, I feel like, of Dean Wilkinson and them. So he's kind of in the middle here, just not where he really needs to be, wants to be. But then again, we've got that little battle within a battle as well. As you see now, you see Charles Johnson just sneak underneath the 89 of Matt Quick. That's going to put Charles now as the first car, 1 down, should we get a yellow. So that's going to be, again, that race within a race. And now you see the 83 of Jack Walls has caught up to Michael Spell, and that momentum is going to bring him right to them. But now the question is, what do you do if you're the 83 car? Where do you take this momentum? Because you're going to need some help to get it done, and right now he does not have too many cars around that I think will be able to help him.
Absolutely. And, you know, out of all these drivers, who do I think has a chance to make this work? I think that 83 Jack Walls. He wanted Michael Spell to go with him. Spell stays on the bottom. It's going to kill that momentum of the 83, and now here comes the 87 and the 1. They're going to try to make this top side work. And if you don't jump in front of those two boys, you're not getting around as the 9 and the 88 move up. But those are two drivers that really didn't need to. It's going to hinder the process as they go 3 wide through the middle. Almost a wreck here on the backstretch with just a few laps remaining. And just, Gael, they're getting racy. This is what we've been waiting on all race long, the race for the win. Here they start to show up and come in. Eric Laurie starting to come in the picture. So many lapped cars in this pack. And how many times have we seen a mixture of lap cars and lead lap cars in a pack? And then what ensues next but a wreck? Not hoping that for these drivers, but it could easily be possible as they get aggressive. But look at the 87 and the 1, showing why they're the dominant guys in the series. Powering on the outside, trying to make this pass for the lead going into turn 1.
Yeah, so we were talking about how far back they were, and they've closed the gap, and now they're side by side for the lead here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 all locked on together. Then you got to figure out where that 5th position car is. That's that 55, the orange car of Dean Wilkinson right there, right behind Charles Johnson. So now what does Charles do? See if he makes a move, maybe tries to work the middle here. Right now Jack Walls is in that position. So yeah, so things definitely going to start getting a little bit antsier here as the Kevins have kind of lost all the nice little clean air that they had. Now it's all for us, and now it's all that to do again for them basically. As here comes Dean Wilkinson, he's going to latch onto the back of the 9 car here as we cross the line here. Going to be 3 to go here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Absolutely, and here we are. We see the 5 now is going to separate from the 03. Their strategy is to bust. The 5 going to move up where the momentum's at. I think the only reason they even lost that lead is the 89 was not staying on the back bumper of those 2 for some reason. Whether it be damaged, the car just hindered a little bit, or what have you. It just cannot stay with the 03. Look at Kevin Friesen going to make it 3 wide. A big squeeze. Makes it work. Looks like something I would do, Gael. Super aggressive, but I love seeing it. He's going to try and get in front of that 9 of Charles Johnson. Kevin Friesen wants the win. He's got the drive for it, but Charles Johnson not going to work with him. But here comes that 55 to try to get on the back bumper. And now Gabe Butler moves out on the outside, going to try to pass Kevin Friesen. He knows how to make this work with 2 laps to go. I don't know who's going to win this, Gael. This is a huge race. It's Dean Wilkinson. I think that 55 going to make it 3 wide.
Yeah, so Dean's got to be, you got to time this right here because I feel like the third line does not work very well, unfortunately, through the turns. You got to get a big exit out of 4, and I think that's when you got to make that push to the top. And I'll say what Dean does have going for him now is he's got the 83 of Jack Walls behind him. I think Jack is the one who will be willing to work with him. We've seen Jack try to go there before, so I think these two just need to time it right and play the game in time and get it correct here. If they can get that run out of 4, get locked on together, I think that's going to be their best opportunity here as they're going to be coming 3 wide here to take the white flag.
Gael, we could have a white flag wreck in this front pack and have a surprise winner. These guys are going hard. The 5 trying everything he can to get that 1 cleared. He did, and the 1 strategically stayed on top, thinking that was the way he was going to keep the 5 from passing him. But now the 87 has momentum with Kevin Hash. I have no idea who this top 3 is going to be. We could be surprised big time, but these guys aren't going to lift at this point. Forget if the engines are hot or not. It's time to go for it. The 83 and the 55 going to the outside. That's going to stall out the 5 and the 1. The 87 coming back on the bottom. Dean Wilkinson looking like he could be in a great spot, maybe with some momentum if he's got the right drivers in the line. But he starts stalling out there. He's going to have to give that up. Will the 1 be able to make it back for the win? A big push from Kevin Friesen. Here they come to the line. It's going to be a photo finish, guy.
At the line, I think Raymond Rittenhouer just edges out the 1 car of Gabe Butler to get the win. Kevin Hash going to grab 2nd. 3rd. Kevin Friesen going to grab 4th. Then Dean Wilkinson, Jack Walls, they're going to finish in 5th and 6th. So they tried to make that top side work, just wasn't quite there. But man, I mean, from a couple seconds back, we see Raymond Rittenhauer, Gabe Butler find their way up there to get that 1-2 finish tonight.
You can never rule those 2 drivers out. Gael, I've worked with my teammates over in the Premier Series to figure out what in the world these 2 guys do to always get here. It's like they have extra ponies in that engine or something, but they always make it to the front, and they're always contending at the end. They may look like they're 5 and 6 seconds back at one point, but they always make it there at the end. It's insane how talented these 2 drivers are at the super speedways, and it's just, man, I think the championship's going to come down to these 2. I mean, why wouldn't it? These 2 guys are always close competition, but, you know, young blood behind them, Kevin Hash, he's been running really strong with them, and I know him and Raymond are pretty good teammates, so P3 finish for him. I wouldn't rule him out in the playoffs, but Gael, I'm kind of heartbroken, I'm not going to lie. After watching Thursday's night's race at the road course with Kevin Friesen and all the bad luck he had, and, you know, running for 3rd place and ended up not getting the finish and finishing, I think, 4th or 5th that race. Here he is, 4th again tonight, just looking for victory lane and just not quite there yet.
Yeah, so I'm torn on this. I mean, obviously you always want to get that top three, but I think he's going to be really happy with the way that race went, going caution free like they did, and then putting on that fight at the end. That was a very, very exciting finish. And we got to pull up our final results to show those finishing positions here tonight. And it's going to be Raymond Rittenhauer, as we mentioned, getting the win over Gabe Butler. They're just under 200ths of a second. Then Kevin Hash there third. Kevin Friesen finishing fourth. Dean Wilkinson in the top five. Then you got Jack Walzer, the last of the lead lappers in that little pack right there. And then again, 13 seconds back, you got Dave Thatcher, Todd Merkel, and you got Bud Steele, Jim Brooks rounding out our top 10 on the lead lap. And then a lot of drivers got caught a lap down here this evening, including, we mentioned, Matt Quick. Then you got Eric Laurie, Alberto Lopez, Michael Spell, Charles Johnson, 15th. Then you got Todd Siebels, Robert DuPont, and Nick Manfredi. And we'll grab the rest of the drivers here. You got Joseph Morales there in 19th, Jay Hilliard, 20th. Dylan Hale, John Brill, Quabi Brooks, Donnie Lyons, Michael Taylor, Bradley Green, and James Hickson rounding out our finishers for this evening. While Raymond Rittenhauer, he's going to continue to celebrate on pit road, or front stretch, I should say. Got to get those words out one of these days. But I say definitely a very, very happy driver there tonight getting that win this evening. But I say you get your wish, though, because we're going to get to have a chat with our third place finisher, I believe the owner or proprietor of the Larry Yingling fan club, and that's going to be that 03 of Kevin Hash. So let's bring Kevin on in here, because I know we're looking forward to giving him some grief. So I'll grab Kevin on in here tonight. Finishes in the third position. Man, it was all about pit strategy. You and Friesen were looking good there for a while. It looked like you guys are going to be kind of out on your own for the longest time. And then a couple guys decided to come and join and kind of ruin your party up front there at the end. But man, just what a fight between you and Kevin and Gabe and Raymond and Dean and Jack. I mean, that was a really crazy finish with a lot of mixed strategies, a lot of cars tailing the lead lap, one lap down, trying to be the first car one lap down. How are you trying to manage who was in what position there to keep yourself in the best place you could be there at the end?
Biggest thing was I just didn't want to let anybody the second after we got the lead coming out of the pits, it seemed like we broke away. I was like, man, we got this locked up. And I'm like, I think I really hurt me and Friesen's chance, because I accidentally took two tires on a pit stop and was a little bit slower. And I think we could have maybe had just enough, because we was pretty close to breaking the draft. They were just close enough to catch it. But yeah, I mean, just racing with these guys, I just know anything's possible. I can't believe I didn't think we'd see Ray and Gabe again after they were like 3 seconds back from us after a pit stop, and next thing I know, they're past us on the outside. So anything can happen here. But yeah, we just got some of the best friends out here, and every one of them can drive their ass off.
Yeah, saying that's exactly what Maxwell and I were feeling as well. We're watching that and it's like, okay, Raymond and Gabe are a fair bit back here after the pit stop. They pitted with you, obviously. And say just wasn't quite the stop they needed there. But then, like you said, just wait a few more laps, they get locked on together. And like you said, I just wasn't quite enough to break that little bubble, if you will. Because once they got in there, say we saw those speeds picking up very quickly. Say that sometimes in the 43-second bracket there at the end. But man, just what a race! I'll say a lot of new names, a lot of new faces tonight. But I'll say when it came time to kind of do the paycheck, I'll say we go caution free another time here tonight. Just well a job by you guys up front. They're able to nail all your pit stops nice, and obviously a very difficult pit road to get in and out of. And saying one, I think who probably more excited than me about the result here tonight is going to be my partner in crime here, Maxwell, because he was dying to be able to get an interview with you here tonight.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh yeah, hey, here's my big question for you, Kevin. Why are you going to let these two old guys sit here and pass you each and every week? Why ain't you up there in victory lane tonight? No, I'm just kidding. You had a great run tonight, Kevin. Love to always give you, teasing around to do, but you had a great run. But you really think it was the two tires that caused you? Was you slow in pit road, or was it the two tires you think just not giving you the speed you needed on track and the grip you needed to be able to pull away like you wanted to? Like, what kind of happened there on that last pit stop? Because I'm with you. I thought you and Kevin Friesen were going to battle out for the win, but it ended up y'all got ganged up on and then just couldn't really find your way back around those two powerhouse drivers in front of you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was like a perfect storm of just little bits of time, because they were able to get more cars together than they'd had previously with Charles and I don't know who was with Charles back there, but the other lap car. And I knew they were going to be able to pull a lot more with them. And I knew once I got within like a second and a half, they were going to be there. But they were so close to where we could possibly break away from it. But I think more cars, I think giving up just that little bit of time. I mean, 2 tires here, what I was doing with the 2 tires, I felt like I was able to drive it a lot better because it made it looser. Like I wasn't having to battle the tight feeling that it gave with like lefts or none. So just taking right sides seemed to make a big difference, but you had to really be careful and exit the pit road because you really had to drive it. Otherwise, you were going to give up so much time. And I think that was one of the biggest things. I think the time that I gained coming out of the pits was less than what it would have been if I could have came out with Friesen, because I know Friesen had to wait on me just a second in the pits, and I feel like that costed us just enough to where we couldn't break that bubble, and we had to deal with old Ray and Gabe Butler, both of them blowing our doors off.
Absolutely. Well, man, great race, great run. Just want to give you a chance now for any shout outs and things you may have, and just some giving people credit for this awesome 3rd place finish you had tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, mainly just all the team, just every one of them. I enjoy being in Discord with all them every Sunday night, even if my race ain't going well, just being able to talk with them, have a blast. It's something I look forward to every Sunday night. And the other shout out I gotta give is to Larry. He's blowing up the phone again. You know, maybe he needs to start practicing for next week. Maybe that way he won't be so bad on the long runs. But
yeah, maybe you need to sponsor a good driver. 94 Maxwell Caldwell. Doors are open for next season.
Hey, maybe that's a possibility for sure.
Yeah, so but I say, as in the nice part too is, of course, you've given up some of your free time from to do this, to say, taking away from the Larry Yingling fan clubs. I know that's a busy job you got running that over there too. So say it's appreciated to see you on track here as much as we do get to, at least.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. The 2 fans that we got, they don't like to watch him a whole lot, so I got to tell him about how he messed up that week or what he did wrong, how he could have won by more if he won, and most time I'm explaining how he gave it away by not taking any tires in a championship race and staying out. Just got to make sure we throw that one in there if he's going to keep sending messages, but it's going good fun.
You paid them to join, right? You had to pay them to join that fan club?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit. Sometimes you gotta start off with a couple to make other people feel like they want to join, but yeah, the anti-Larry Yingling club that I also run is pretty full. I mean, I'm selling T-shirts every week. I mean, it's just ridiculous over there on that end.
Gail, you're going to have to take control of this. Me and him's going to banter all night long.
Oh, it's too much fun. But no, we will have to jump over to Gabe. But yeah, just awesome job tonight, Kevin. Like you said, it's nice to be able to obviously battle for wins, but like you said, be able to enjoy your Sunday nights with your friends, and just kind of nice way to kind of unwind before the Mondays come back again. So yeah, just awesome job tonight though, man.
Yeah, 10-4. Thank y'all for the broadcast and everything y'all do, the league for putting this on, and we'll see if we can do it again next Sunday.
All right, that's going to jump us now over to the one machine of Gabe Butler. We'll go ahead and pull him on over here. So let's grab Gabe and bring him over. All right, Gabe, I was a little worried about you and Raymond there towards the end. Let's say we saw the pit stop with you and the Kevins kind of all going in together, but unfortunately you guys kind of got separated there. But in the long run did not matter because you two hooked up, and say you looks like just in enough of that draft there. And then of course we know how well you and Ray worked together. How tense were those, like that last run after the pit stop, to try to get into that window to be in the running for the win here tonight?
It's kind of fun and exciting at the same time. Yeah, me and Ray were kind of slow in to our pit stops and slow out, and Kevin and Matt, both Kevins and Matt nailed theirs, so we had to come from a long way behind, but we were keeping an eye on the times, and once we got hooked up, we were really getting into it, and we saw the times coming down. So looking at the laps as well, I think the last time I looked, it was like 11 laps ago, and we were about 3 or 4 seconds behind. And then once we got in a second and a half of that last group there, we knew we'd get them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did an awesome job of closing that gap up and then going after it. And then from there, so it's kind of just like you kind of had to go where you felt like you were going to have the best momentum and get the runs. Like you would see at times you would move up or then try to drop to the inside. And How much was it just kind of basing it off of where it seemed like the momentum was, or I mean, was there kind of a game plan of if you could find your way to the middle or the inside, that's where you wanted to be there coming to the end?
I really thought the middle lane was going to be the lane to be in because I think when myself and Ray were coming on the outside, I think it might have been Jack. I can't remember, but he pulled up. He didn't block us. He pulled up, but we got a huge draft off him. And then he dropped back down and sucked us right up to the leaders. And then, but that bottom line was, I guess, the place to be. But it seemed to be just going a little bit slower. And I really thought myself and Kevin, once we got up there, we would have been able to get around. But beating the other Kevin and Ray on the bottom line with Matt behind him, that was always going to be tough. But we tried.
Yeah, you guys definitely did an awesome job. And then you continue your streak of top fives throughout the season. It's 6 races in, 6 top fives. So I say you've been killing with consistency here. I say it was a tie between, I believe it was actually between you and Ray for the lead here. So you guys are going to be right with one another again here. So you guys are definitely going to be 2 for sure to watch. Obviously, going into those final 4 races with the top 8. Obviously, you can't rule out either of the Kevins as well. So I mean, is that something you're looking at all at yet, or are you just kind of going race at a time and worry about that once you get to that point?
I just worry about it once we get to it. The main goal now is to try and get some of our other teammates in the playoffs. Like I know Eric and Matt need a win, and Dude if he's around. So I think there's only 2 races to go to try and get him in there.
Yeah, season's definitely winding up quicker than we realize at times, but yeah, just awesome job tonight. So I'm gonna pass you over to Maxwell though, because I said we were definitely enjoying your guys' moves there at the end.
Absolutely, Gabe Butler, I'll never take it from you. You are one heck of a super speedway racer, my brother. You did an awesome job tonight. Thought you were out of it. You ended up running down that lead pack right when you needed to, but I got a very simple question for you tonight. How much do you wish that you had about 100 extra foot to finish that race? Don't you wish they had that start-finish line moved down a little bit like you do at Talladega? Because if I think it was, I think you'd have had it. You had the momentum there out of 4. You just wish that start-finish line probably moved a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I might sneak back out tonight and just repaint it like a couple hundred yards down the track a bit. But yeah, you're right. We were definitely moving on the outside, and Kevin was locked on pretty good. But it's kind of tough to beat 3 cars bumper to bumper on the bottom. But we might have got him. But it's all good. All the team had a really good finish, so that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, and it's not like you're no stranger to victory lane in the Super Speedway Series. You can give one away a couple at a time. You just don't ever want to give it away to that Raymond Rittenhauer. You two always duel it out for the victories and the championships here in this series. Great job tonight. Great second place finish. Wished it was +1 for you there, but you can go back and get them next week. I'm for sure of it. So want to give you the opportunity now to just give out any thanks and shout outs you may have for this awesome second place victory.
Big shout out to Ray. Congratulations on his win. We came from a long way back, like I said, and he just held his line. I was able to push him. Eric helped out when he could there, too. Got us back up there. And, of course, the rest of the teammates, they all did a fantastic job. And, the usual, the broadcasters, top-of-the-line broadcasters, and Area 51, of course.
I'll say great job again, Gabe. As I enjoy this one, I say look forward to seeing you back next week. I'll say again, like Maxwell said, won't be surprised to see you battling out for another one there. But yeah, enjoy this one for now though, and we'll look forward to catching you next week, sir.
All right, gentlemen, thank you.
All right, that leaves one driver left, and that's gonna be the 87 of Raymond Rittenhauer. Started in 5th, winds up with the win. I say obviously it wasn't easy sledding tonight. Raymond had to do a little bit of everything to get back to the front. But I say it's been a pretty decent season. I say obviously you had the one kind of win almost kind of taken away with the connectivity issues, but then you're able to bounce back and get that win pretty much right back there, and then pick up another one here tonight. I mean, take us through after the last pit stop, you and Gabe kind of having to basically just hustle that car to get to that lead pack to be in contention and get that win. How hard did you guys have to push and stay basically super committed to running the exact line you had to run there to be able to get into that window to catch those guys back up at the end?
Yeah, we were pushing really hard. Gabe did a heck of a job there pushing. Once we got there, though, it was nuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the thing. Was it just everybody was jumping around at times. We saw once you guys started making the momentum to the top, we saw other drivers try to see if they could kind of be that one to lead that outside group. I mean, how tough was it for you to kind of try to judge the guys around you to be able to, okay, I can make this move and I don't think anybody's going to jump in front of me? I mean, how much was it just trusting those guys around you to feel like you could make those big moves at the end to get to that front?
It was definitely a lot of trust there. People were all over. You didn't know if they were going to jump up out of the low lane and get you if you were being a little tight. But the high line seemed to be working if you had a few cars. But I don't know. Luckily, Kevin gave me a heck of a push there at the end on the low line.
Yeah, you guys definitely locked on very well at the end. I'll say it was gonna be curious to see what lane was gonna be the one to take there. If it was gonna be the low, the middle, or what. We saw a little bit of all of that there coming to the end. But yeah, just awesome job here tonight, Raymond. I'm gonna pass it over to Maxwell though, who I'm sure has a few questions that he wants to throw your way as well.
Well, honestly, Gael, I think it pretty well sums up his performance on track. Has summed up anything I can see. I mean, not much to ask from just a champion race car driver here in the Superspeedway series, just taking yet another victory in this series and just doing a great job. The only thing I want to ask you is if you've got any shout outs or thanks you'd like to give tonight for that awesome win tonight, Raymond.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Lucky Dogs. Of course, all of my teammates on Bootknocker there. Kevin for giving me a heck of a push there for the win. And you guys for putting on a good broadcast.
All right, well earned tonight, Raymond. Enjoy this one, and I look forward to catching you again next week, sir.
All right, thanks.
All right, Maxwell. So, man, I'd say, again, 27 cars tonight. I think 26 taking the green. But, again, caution-free, even with a good number of new names, new faces. And so, yeah, so I'd say these guys just keep on doing what they do best. But it's going to be Raymond Rittenhauer that's able to get them all tonight and get that win this evening. But, yeah, these guys are, I'd say, they make it look easy, I feel like.
Absolutely. Between Raymond Rittenhauer and Gabe Butler, they literally make it look like it's absolutely nothing. They just hang back there and they're like, oh, it's time to go. Well, let's go ahead and speed up a little bit. We'll just drive on by them. And then they both get to first and second place in most of these races. Gael, the only thing I'm looking at as this season winds down and gets close to the playoffs is if these guys want to dethrone Gabe Butler and Raymond Rittenhauer, you're probably not going to beat them on pit strategy. And when you do, it's not going to be enough. You're going to have to get aggressive. Notice what they did at the end of this race. They got aggressive. They took every move they could make. They didn't hesitate. They didn't hang out behind a car and hope to get a run later and wait for it to stall out. They took the momentum they had. They made their way to the front. No matter what, they put their cars in the position they needed to get the win. And that's what these other drivers like Kevin Friesen and Kevin Hash and some of these other guys are going to have to do if they want to win this championship. They're going to have to put themselves in those three-wide situations. They're going to have to put themselves where they need to be. Now, granted, I saw a lot of great things out of Kevin Friesen tonight, really being aggressive and really trying to make those moves. And even seeing him look on Gabe Butler while they were on the outside, but that was not going to be a winning move when he killed all their momentum. And I think he knew that and just tried to settle for the best finish he could get. But just really looking tonight and on into the season for just guys to get more aggressive. We've seen time and time again, they can run a clean race. That's great. That's fantastic. That's awesome. But when it comes down to winning, sometimes you've got to put matters in your own hands just a little bit. You got to get your hands dirty and you got to get up in there. And Gael, you know me, I'm a very aggressive race car driver, I feel like. And, I'm always willing to put it three wide in the middle. When I see somebody do that, I'm like, yes, that's what I want to see. Go. And normally it works out for them. Saw that a few times tonight with a few runs. But these guys, if they want to beat those two, they're going to have to team up and they're going to have to absolutely, wherever they put their car, put it somewhere else and just take the momentum and take the run and do everything you can to block their runs and just bring it home first in front of them. You're going to have to be more defensive. I don't think Kevin Friesen or Kevin Hash was in a position tonight to truly block or put a block on with the closing rate that we have at the iRacing Superspeedway. But as we go on next week to Daytona, a track that most all drivers love to go to, is just something about that place. You can't put your finger on it. It's just an amazing racetrack. they're going to have the opportunity to be able to stop some of those runs. And that's really what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to put out a statement saying, that they're able to race for this championship too.
Yeah, you're spot on there, and I think that's the big part of saying. I think Daytona is definitely going to be one of those where you can make that happen. It's obviously a much narrower track. I say obviously they won't be running 240 or anything like that, so that's going to definitely be a track where you can definitely make life a little bit harder for those two. The first step, of course, is to get them away from the front, though. So that's going to be, I think, job number one, and then from there on, it's going to be keeping them away from the front. So it'll be fun to see if any of those drivers think that, or if they can, I should say, be able to make that happen. Because, like I said, there's definitely some guys that they're the ones that we watch week in and week out, and these guys have definitely been stepping up their game, though, with the rest of the field. So tonight we saw a few drivers, to say just the pit stops were the name of the game tonight, say just knocking a few drivers out of the lead pack. But I say I'm watching Dean Wilkinson, Jack Wells. Those two have been in the contention pretty much every week now. I think those would be two drivers that are in, if they're in the chance to make it happen towards the end. Those are two I think that would be some great options to dethrone some of the guys that we see more often than not.
Absolutely, and I think there's a slew of good drivers, and we had a lot of new drivers tonight getting their feet wet in this league in this season. Look for them to take the rest of the season, not really to contend for any championship, but just to get used to the racing here, and for keeping it green with as many new guys as we had. I thought that was awesome. But it's just going to be looking for those guys to develop and use this season to practice, really, and get a feel for these guys to come back hopefully next season and be able to put on a show. And who knows, maybe some of these new guys could be what it takes to dethrone that 87 and that one car. But until then, those are your top dogs right now. Anybody's got a chance at this championship in this Superspeedway season. It's just a matter of who's willing to take more risk and who's willing to make moves. Kind of like the move Charles Johnson and Michael Spell did tonight, where they moved up in front of those guys when they saw that run. They wasn't afraid, and they were lap cars, and it ended up benefiting them, and it got them up closer to the front. Now, granted, they ended up getting tight, and the 1 and the 87 were able to get underneath them and continue their march, but that's going to be one thing. You're going to have to get in front of them when they get those big runs, and you're literally just going to have to keep them behind you, because we know they like to save fuel and hang out for a while. So they'll be coming from the back to the front. It's a matter of putting your car where theirs is, because they literally can't go nowhere if you put it in front of them. You're going to have to take their runs and make them your own. And I think if some of these guys see that and they go back and watch the broadcast and can see those runs that they probably could have took advantage of and didn't, it will help them in the future races to be able to really put on a tougher race for those two. But right now, those two are your top dogs, and I don't see anybody dethroning them as of right now.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a tough fight, but we know all the drivers are gonna be ready to go after it for sure. So it's gonna be fun to see. Like I said, almost halfway through the season somehow already. It's gonna be exciting to see how the second half of this one unfolds. So yeah, again, really Maxwell. First off, thank you so much for joining me late notice on that one. Really appreciate that. I say it's always a pleasure to have you on Thursday. So it's just kind of an added bonus to have you tonight as well. I say it's a lot of fun, and I think you bring a lot to it that I don't know if I don't think I could easily at all cover what you do on my own. So definitely a huge thank you for that.
Absolutely, and man, I love super speedways. With church on Sunday nights, it's normally hard to get here on time. It's why, really, if it wasn't for the time, I would be probably racing it if I could, because I love super speedway racing. But it's also just as much fun to watch these guys take these runs, and these guys make it easy to broadcast when they put on a show like they do. But thank you for allowing me to step in place of the mighty Dale Knott. I know he does an excellent job with you in this series on Sunday nights, and he took over my ride in the Premier Series, and I'm going to say I'm not jealous of it, even though I'm kind of getting jealous seeing that 94 running on track and me not in it. But, just glad to see him having fun there, and glad he's able to have fun here with you on Sundays. But, Gael, you always know if you ever need any help, I'm here to help. I love my super speedway racing, so always glad to help if I get the chance.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for you when I get the opportunities. But yeah, and also, of course, those that are watching, thank you so much for supporting the league, the channel, everything. Means a ton to us. So we will be back on Tuesday for the Indy Series. They've been having a really fun one over there, and of course back on Thursday for the Premier Series at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Going away from the road course and getting to kind of I wouldn't say road oval, if you will, but they're definitely a very tricky track over there at Indianapolis, so it's going to be a lot of fun over there as well. So I hope you enjoyed it tonight. As always, it's gonna be. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Back to Monday stuff, but hope you all enjoyed this one tonight, and look forward to catching you on Tuesday for the Indy Series. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful evening and have a good night.